Hey beginners, today we're going to learn about 16th notes. So we're going to start with with our rhythm tree. As you know, we start with a whole note, which gets 4 beats and 8 pulses. If I break that in half, I get 2 half notes, which are going to be 2 beats and 4 pulses. If I break each of those in half, we get our quarter notes, which are 1 beat and 2 pulses. And then if we break that in half, we get the smallest note that we know so far, which is our eighth notes, which are each going to be half of a beat and 1 pulse. One half beat, 1 pulse. Now, that's our rhythm tree as we know so far. Today we're going to take one step farther. If I break down my eighth notes in half, which you can do, I'm going to get what's called 16th notes. And the difference between 16th notes and eighth notes are they have a second bar going across. So I'm going to draw all of my 16th notes if I have room. And ta-da, some poorly drawn 16th notes. But so following the pattern, we know we're just going down by half every single time we go smaller. So now 16 notes are going to be 1/4 of a beat, and we're not going to worry about pulses. When we go that fast, when the notes are that small, trying to pulse would just be crazy. So we're not going to worry about that. Things I want you to take away from this: 16 notes are 1/4 or 1/4 of a beat. There's 4 of them in 1 beat, so 4 16th notes in 1/4 note, and there's 16 16th notes in a whole note, hence why they're called 16th notes. Alrighty, I've cleared my screen and now I want to start working on counting 16th notes. So I'm going to start with the world's most boring measure. And we know that that's going to be 1, big 2, big 3, big 4. If we count that, it just sounds 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if I want to break that in half, my numbers stay in the same place. But now I'm adding a second note on the upbeat, which we know is and. So now I've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And if we want to count and clap that, we know it goes 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, with our toe being up every time we say and. We're just clapping twice as fast as we did for the quarter notes. Now, if I want to break that down even farther, how many 16 notes do I have to fit into each eighth note? If you remember from the last screen, it's 2. So now I'm going to draw 2 16th notes per eighth note, which means each grouping is going to be 4 16 notes. This is how you'll see 16 notes a lot of the time, is grouped in groups of 4. Remember though, it's not the grouping of 4 that makes them 16 notes, it's the second bar that turns into 16 notes. 1 stays in the same place, so we're just going to bring 1 down, and stays in the same place. And is going to be our third 16th note, because that's the beginning of the eighth note that we just broke down. Now we have a special word that we're going to call the second and fourth 16th note. The second 16th note is going to be called E. The last 16th note is going to be called So in order, we say 16th notes as 1, E, and So now I've drawn my other 16 notes. I'm just going to go through and label them. Help me with it. This would make it 2 E and 3 E and then this would be 4 E, and I'm going to clear my screen just a second so I can move myself out of the way. Gosh, self, stop getting in the way. Anyway, so we have 4 16th notes. We've added 2 more words for our 16th notes, E and and now when we count them, we're going to make sure that 1 and stay in the same place. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, but we're going to fill in the space around them. So I'm going to turn my metronome on and count some 16ths for you. 1, 2, just listen and go. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and Easy enough, right? 1 and stay in the same place. Your toe is doing the exact same. You can see my feet down here. You would see it still moving down for the 1 and up for the and. The E is if your foot's like 45 degrees, and the is 45 degrees the other way, if you want to think about it like that. Let's try that again, and I want you to count with me. Ready? 1, 2, ready, count and clap. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and Not too bad. One more time. 1, 2, ready, and go. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and Very good. I think, I hope, I don't know. I hope you're doing well. If you sound like me, you're doing great. If you don't sound like me, go back and watch that again. Practice until you sound like me. That's 16 notes in a nutshell. 4 of them per beat. We call them number E and then they just go twice as fast as 8th notes. I'm going to pause here. I'm going to switch over, and I want you to get out chart 11 and a pencil. We're going to start writing in some stuff in chart 11 and practice counting and clapping the first couple lines. And I'm back. We are on chart 11, so you need to have this out, your pencil, and be ready to write. Let's go ahead and let's remind ourselves. We're going to draw a 16th note. So a single 16th note has the flag at the top and then a second flag underneath it. We're going to remind ourselves that this is 1/4 of a beat, and that's all that really matters. We're not going to worry about the pulses here. Okay, so let's look at line 1 and let's dive into this. I'm so excited, y'all. 16 notes are like our super big kid rhythm of the year, and I really wish that we were together to go over this, because I know that this is one of the cooler things we do, but unfortunately this is just the world we live in, so here we are. Let's dive in. So we're going to start with measure 1. Are these 8th notes or 16th notes? If you said 8th notes, very good. How do we know they're 8th notes? Because they only have 1 beam across them. So this is very easy. We're going to write our counting. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so then we look at measure 2. Are these 16th notes or 8th notes? If you said 16th notes, you are correct. Notice how they have 2 beams connecting all the notes. And again, they're in that group of 4, like I pointed out in the first part of this video. How do we count 8th notes? Or what do we call 16th notes? Well, we start with 1, always. And we do E and and we just do that for the rest of them. 2, E and 3, E and 4, E and Be very, very careful that you're lining up what you're writing with the note that it goes underneath. It doesn't make any sense if you have E underneath 2 or underneath the third note of the second beat. You're just going to confuse yourself later on. Okay, very good. Let's pause here with the writing and let's just practice clapping and counting measure 1 and measure 2 together. Ready? 1, 2, measure 1 and 2, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and Very nice. Go back and practice as many times as you need to. Notice I'm being very, very strict on where my 1s and my ands are. Your numbers are still going to be when your toe is down. Your ands are still going to be when your toe is up. Use those to help you. Make sure you don't speed up. A typical problem that we have as young musicians is what I call the snowball effect. If you start with a tiny snowball up at the top of a mountain and roll it down, well, by the end it's going to pick up more and more snow, more and more speed, and it's going to be a giant, like avalanche style snowball. If you're counting these and you're not being careful on when your downbeats and your upbeats are, you're just going to start going faster and faster and faster, and that's a big no-no. Okay, let's write in our counting for the next two measures. So as you can see, I've already gone ahead and wrote in my counting. It's going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, because these are eighth notes, not 16th notes. And then the last measure is the same as measure 2, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. Pause here, take as long as you need to write down all of your counting, and then I want to practice counting, clapping all of line 1. Ready? Line 1, together, tapping toes, down, up, 1, 2, count and clap it, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. And that's it. Careful you don't add 1 at the end of the 4 E and a. Here at the end of the line, there's nothing there. Okay? Rewind, practice that a couple more times until you get really comfortable with those 16th notes. We're going to go ahead and look at line 2 now. Now line 2 doesn't have the same thing over and over again. It changes a little bit, which is really good for us. Starting at the beginning of line 2, first let's find out what type of notes are these. Check the number of beams at the bottom. We see there's 2, so it's going to be 16th notes. So we're going to do our 1, E, and a. Then we have what? 2 and, very good. Then what do we have? 3 and then we have just a quarter note, 4. I'm going to tell you right now, that quarter note is going to feel like forever long, because it's the same as 4 16 notes, which is what we're used to counting right now. You've got to make sure you pulse on it. Okay? Let's count and clap, measure, or line 2, measure 1. 1, 2, ready, go. 1 E and a, 2 and 3 and 4. Again, 2, ready, go. 1 E and a, 2 and 3 and 4. Very good. Now if you look at the second measure, it's the exact same thing. So we actually just counted measure 1 and measure 2 because it doesn't change. You don't need to write your counting in for that unless you really want to. Look at measure 3. It changes slightly. Now we're going to start with what type of note? Eighth notes. Very good. So we're going to go 1 and. We know the next one is going to be 2, so I'm going to fill it in. Then we look at what type of note it is, and it's 16th note. So we know we need to go 2, E, and a. That's an E, I promise, not a weird looking plus sign. My handwriting is bad anyway. Y'all know this. Doing a computer doesn't help. Then we have 8th note, so 3, and then big 4 at the end. Take a second, see if you can figure out how to count and clap that rhythm on your own without me. Okay, let's do it together so you can check yourself. 1, 2, ready, go. 1 and 2 E and a, 3 and 4. Does that sound about what you had? Very good. Look at measure 4. It's going to be the exact same rhythm, so we're just going to do that twice. Let's do measure 3 and measure 4 of this line together. 1, 2, ready, go. 1 and 2 E and a, 3 and 4. 1 and 2 E and a, 3 and 4. Good. Make sure again when we're doing our 8th note, or excuse me, when we're doing our 16th notes, we're really locking in where the 2 and where the and are, and just filling in the E and the around it. Let's do all of line 2, put it together. 1, 2, line 2, go. 1 E and a, 2 and 3 and 4. 1 E and a, 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 E and a, 3 and 4. 1 and 2 E and a, 3 and 4. Very nice. Go back, repeat that a couple times till you feel really good and you sound just like me. Let's move on to line 3. I want to get through line 5 on this video is my goal. Alright, line 3. Go ahead and without me, write your counts in write your counts in for your first measure. Alright, so you should have 1 and 2 and 3 E and a 4. Because we've got 8th note, 8th note, 8th note, 8th note, 16, 16, 16, 16th, quarter. Okay? Let's count and clap the first 2 measures, because they're the same, of line 3. 1, 2, ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 E and a 4. 1 and 2 and 3 E and a 4. Good. Go ahead and write your counting in for the next two measures. Notice we got a lot of eighth notes and then some sixteenths. Alright, you should have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 E and a. Let's go ahead and clap and count these two measures because again they're the same, and then we'll put all of line 3 together. 1, 2, ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 E and a. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 E and a. Good. Again, don't fall in the trap of saying 1 after the 4 E and a. A lot of us want to keep going, don't fall off that cliff. Do all of line 3 together now. 1, 2, ready and go. 1 and 2 and 3 E and a 4. 1 and 2 and 3 E and a 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 E and a. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 E and a. Very good. Look at line 4. Now we're going to put more 16 notes together. Take a couple seconds, write in your counting for the first measure of line 4. Alright, you should have 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 and 4. Because we have 8 16th notes, so that's 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 8th note, quarter note. Count and clap both of the first two measures of line 4. 1, 2, count and clap it, go. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 and 4. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 and 4. Very good. Write your counting in for the next measure. So for this next measure, we should have 1 and 2 and 3 E and a, 4 E and a. Almost same thing backwards, but with extra eighth notes. Count and clap the last two measures of line 4. 1, 2, ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 E and a, 4 E and a. 1 and 2 and 3 E and a, 4 E and a. Very nice. Count all of line 4 now. 1, 2, line 4, count and clap. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 and 4. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 E and a, 4 E and a. 1 and 2 and 3 E and a, 4 E and a. Very good. Line 5. I want you to write in your counting completely on your own. I'll check back with you in just a second, but notice the first two measures are the same, last two measures are the same. Go ahead and write your counting in for all of line 5 on your own. Alrighty, for line 5, the first measure should be 1 E and a, 2 and 3 E and a, 4. And then the third measure and last measure should be 1 and 2 E and a, 3 and 4 E and a. Let's go ahead and count and clap all of line 5. 1, 2, line 5, go. 1 E and a, 2 and 3 E and a, 4. 1 E and a, 2 and 3 E and a, 4. 1 and 2 E and a, 3 and 4 E and a. 1 and 2 E and a, 3 and 4 E and a. Very nice. I'm going to pause my video for just a second. We're going to go back to the top. We're going to practice tawing, tubing, or towing, and working on learning how to play 16 notes, since that's our assignment for today. Hey guys, we're back. We're going to work on tawing, and actually we're going to start on line 2 instead of line 1, just to help us break it up a little bit. When we taw, two, or toe, anytime we see a note on this, we're just going to say taw, two, or toe. So for the measure 2, I'm just going to say taw because that's what most of us are using, but you know your syllable, switch to whatever we use in class. So tawing for line 2, for measure 1 would just be, tawing would just sound like this. Ta 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 ta. Easy enough, right? Because we already counted it, 1 E and a, 2 and 3 and 4. Tawing for the third measure would be ta 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 ta. Let's go ahead and together taw all of line 2. 1, 2, taw it, ready, go. Ta 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 ta. Easy enough. Make sure that we take that quarter note all the way to beat 1. Practice that a couple times on your own. Let's look at line 3. If I'm going to taw the first measure, where I have 4 eighth notes, then 4 16th notes, then a quarter note, it's going to sound like this. Ta 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 ta. And that's all of line 3. I think I jumped ahead of myself there. I think I forgot to do these 2 measures, but easy enough. So you can listen to that. You can practice that a couple times. Last one I want to do is going to be line 4 for today. Tawing line 4. Ready? 1, 2, taw line 4, and go. Ta 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 ta. You gotta move your tongue a lot. What's more important than how you're moving your tongue is actually going to be how you move your air. So make sure you're still blowing your air behind your tongue. That's going to help you with getting that to be correct. Especially as we go back to line 2, and I want to wind pattern this time. Ready? Wind pattern in your hand. 1, 2, wind pattern, go. And hopefully you can hear, I'm going to go back and listen to that, but I really, really hope that you can hear I'm not just blowing air for fun. But hopefully you can hear my air not stopping as I'm blowing through that, blowing through the 16 notes. My tongue just interrupts the air like we've always talked about. Let's wind pattern line 3. 1, 2, line 3 wind pattern, go. Very nice. Line 4, our last one for today. As we're wind patterning these 8 16 notes in a row, make sure you're blowing your air all the way through. Never stop. Use a really, really light tongue as we tongue faster. 1, 2, don't let your air stop here. And there we go. Again, focusing on air never stopping, using a really, really light tongue. I'm going to grab a trumpet, and I want you to grab your instrument. We're going to practice playing these lines just in concert F. Alright, so we've counted and clapped, we've tawed, we've wind patterned, so now it's time to start playing. Let's start playing line 2 all the way through. You can choose to listen to me do it one time, or you can try and play along with me. Whatever you want. It's a video, you get to choose, but make sure you use me as a reference until you get it perfect. Ready? Line 2 on concert F. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Again, focus here on our 16 notes is blowing all the way through the notes, and make sure we're still using just the tip of our tongue. Don't use anything further back in your tongue, otherwise you're going to move too slow. It's going to sound very muddy. Let's do line 3, playing. 1, 2, 3. Very good. Okay, listen to that as many times as you need to. Practice playing with me. And the last one we're going to do is line 4. 8 16 notes in a row, no problem. We blow our air, we move our tongue lightly. It's going to be easy. Okay, line 4, last one. 1, 2, 3. And if you notice, I accidentally made my eighth note staccato here at the beginning of line 4. Don't do that. Put them tenuto all the way through. That way you can practice playing them longer than 16 notes. All right, y'all. So that does it for our 16-note lesson for today. I'll come back on next week to have a video kind of changing up some 16 notes as well as practicing them. For today's assignment, you have a counting and clapping assignment and a playing assignment over 16 notes in Smart Music. This is kind of cool because we're actually going to skip ahead to the second Essential Elements book and play a line out there. With the counting and clapping, sometimes it doesn't register all the way on Smart Music, and that's okay. I'm going to go back in and listen and change your grade. Don't worry. Please do note that there is a repeat, though, and so you do need to repeat it. All right. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email. If you need any help, happy to schedule a Zoom conference with you. Until then, miss you all. Hope you're doing well. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Bye.